Pork butt lends itself really well to slow, long braises. And then ideally, you do this day in advance. One of the reasons we really like making this recipe at this time of year, we're going to use quince. It has sort of this intoxicating aroma. It's very aromatic, and it is popular in the Middle East. There's people that think this may have been the original apple in Adam and Eve. Then we'll add in the garlic. If you add the garlic in the same time you're adding your onion, carrot, and celery, I just think that the garlic is more likely to start to burn. Pomegranate juice sort of takes the place of red wine, and some homemade chicken stock. You're rewarded by making your own chicken stock. It'll have much greater depth of flavor. At that point, you can put your pork back into it. You want it to come about halfway, maybe 2/3. You don't really want it to swim in it. We're trying to create this nice moist environment for a tougher cut of meat that's going to slowly braise, starting to come up to a boil. Cover it with a tight-fitting lid, and then we're going to put it into a 325 oven. And then you just periodically have to turn it so that it cooks evenly, but you don't have to babysit it. Just make your house smell really wonderful. So after an hour, we'll take that out. Your pork should be really tender, wanting to fall apart on you. If you do make this in advance, which is actually for braises, for soups, flavors really do develop more. Put it in the refrigerator. The next day, you can go ahead and slice it. It's actually a little bit easier than when the pork is still warm, wants to fall apart on you. Pour our braising juices and quince over the top. So I'm going to return this to the oven for 10 minutes, just really to heat the flavors through, then distribute the flavors. With this wine, I think as much about texture as I think about, the flavors of the wine. So I think this is going to be a nice batch.
Oh, actually, yes. The Syrah is a big wine. It's amazing. It's such a lush, concentrated, fruit-driven wine, but it also has these big plush tannins.
When I hear you talk about this wine having roasted coffee, earth flavors like that, I think those brown spices that associate with more like pumpkin pie or desserts, but in that part of the world they use spices a little bit differently. It
seems very warm and just lush.
Braised dishes just seem to have an affinity with Syrah, and just something very comforting. This just seems to be the perfect glass.
And the fruit in it, the quince, it brings out the sweetness of the fruit in the wine as well. It's beautiful. Great. And your dish is beautiful as well.
Thanks. Well, we'll thank Tom as well. The other thing we make every year, this time of year, and it's something we can use throughout the year, is we make membrillo or quince paste. It's very popular in Spain. They'll quite often serve it with a cheese course with classically with Chago, which is a sheep's milk cheese, and we'll make batches of that every year with the quince that they bring in. And you just cook it down like you would applesauce, and with some sugar and some lemon juice, and you just cook it till it gets really, really firm. And quince actually have a lot of pectin to them. That's one of the reasons that they were sort of this old-fashioned fruit. Use them for jellies and jams. But just cook it till it gets really, really thick. Pour it into loaf pans, and it'll firm up. And we use it throughout the year. Actually, once you wrap it up, put it in the refrigerator, you can use it all year long. And today we're using quince. We've made this same recipe earlier in the summer, and we've done it with figs, which are also quite nice. And sort of late summer, figs are coming in really, really strong. The other one we've done, and we have them growing around the winery, are French prunes, or plums, rather. And those are quite nice as well. So a little bit of fruit. In a braised dish and with meat is very common in the Middle East and North Africa. If you did want to substitute apples, you'd want to saute them like we are now, but only add them for like the last 5-10 minutes of the recipe. Quince are very firm, take longer to cook, whereas the apples will turn to applesauce if you had them in for the same period of time.